Welcome back to Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor and really wanted Sean to be in on this one, but unfortunately he was in a meeting. But I'll tell you what, this is so amazing when you see technology. And I saw a video on Instagram and on the other day, and it was talking about a product from SUB2R. And I was watching this green screen and I was thinking, this is absolutely amazing. The quality of this green screen, because sometimes, we've seen products come out and they're just difficult to really kind of use in situations. So when I started looking into this company, SUB2R, and I found out that they really make a whole bunch of products for really the live streamer, the one that really wants to take it to the edge. And their green screen technology is amazing. Richard Neumann is a co-founder and CEO for SUB2R to tell us about probably one of the biggest secrets in this kind of market. Richard, great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate the opportunity of being here today.
Well, we talk about the big secret. 12 years this company has been around innovating and trying to find different ways to do this technology. What made you get interested in this?
So taking it all the way back, I used to be a co-founder in a company that makes VCSEL lasers, high-speed semiconductor lasers. Predominantly used in communication, but I found that this was back in the days when the Kinect gaming console was coming out, the 3D imaging thing. And I saw an opportunity for this technology to be used there. Well, the company decided to focus on that, on communication, and I left and started a company in San Francisco to do high-speed 3D imaging. And part of that required a camera that gave us the ability to do things that no other camera out there could do. And so we sit around and said, how hard can it be to build a camera?
Wow.
Well, it's amazingly difficult, as we found out.
Yes.
And our core technology, of course, this is our brand new next generation of camera right here. It's a 4K 60 large format streaming video camera. We debuted it in TwitchCon last October, and it should launch next quarter. But this is designed specifically for the pro content creator and independent studios. That's our 4th generation of camera. The 3rd generation of cameras we built, and a lot of people loved them. And we stay very connected with our community. I call them our fans. And they complained a lot about green screens. They didn't like all the lights. They didn't like the setup. They were in small, a lot of streamers are, in a spare room, in a dorm room, in a closet. We have one streamer, we set her up in her bedroom closet.
Wow.
And they all complain about green screens, and green screens have 5 fundamental problems that everybody, in different orders, depends on which one you hate most, but no matter how you Google problems with green screen, it always comes up with lighting, distance, shadows, green spill, wrinkles, and blemishes.
I've been through all of those. Yes.
And and a lot of people just finally give up, and they say screw it, and they're gonna throw out their green screens, right? Or they've got it rolled up and stuck someplace. In the middle of the night, I woke up and I said, what if you put the light behind the green screen? Solve all those problems. So I ran down.
That was a light bulb moment for you.
That was a light bulb moment. Truly.
Yeah.
So I ran down a lab and I hacked one together, and it was like, wow, it works. And then I made a bigger one out of like 2x4 frames and really clunky. And one of our co-founders, his name is Serge. He's got a very small studio in his home. We went and dragged it to his place and basically took up the whole room, and it worked.
Wow.
It took us 2 years after that to get from an idea to something that was a marketable, viable product.
Yeah.
You think that, oh, well, that's going to be easy, right? But we went through iteration and iteration, trying to get everything just right. And the factory we're using makes high-end photographic equipment. So if you buy, really the top of the line studio equipment, they're probably the ones that made it. And they got really mad at us at one point, and they said, "How many prototypes are you going to build?" And my response was, "As many as it takes to get it right."
Yeah.
And so we built this, and it's really fabulous because, I mean, this is literally, I'm putting my hand on the screen. There's no light in my studio right now at all, except for one tiny desk lamp that's on me.
That has been, Richard, that's been the biggest challenge. I had to do a demo video for an actress, and I had a green screen set up. All the lights I had to set up, getting her to the right. It took probably 2 hours more than it should have taken for this video. With your product, with the SUB2R, AGS, this is like, it looks like you could set it up and you're ready to go.
So this was actually down in our studio last night. We were shooting some videos, and I packed it up and brought it up to my office here, and I timed myself this morning just for fun, and it was 2 minutes and 40 seconds, zipper to ready to go. And I hadn't had my first cup of coffee. I could probably beat that time. But that's the key thing, is that it's easy to transport, it's easy to take up, to pack up. And then because it runs on a USB 5 volts, you can put a little battery on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually taken this to the beach in San Francisco after sunset and walked down the beach with it.
So if you're doing an outdoor setting, you're good to go.
Yeah, you don't need electrical outlet. You don't need all the lights or anything. You can just use it where it goes. And while it makes the job for somebody with a small setup amazingly easy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I'm looking forward to is that we're working with a couple of local universities in getting students to use it in ways nobody ever imagined a green screen could be used. Take it out. Everybody, if you meet anybody who's in the industry, who's worked with green screens, a green screen is something you bolt to the wall, you painstakingly set the lights up, and you force your actor into this small space.
Exactly.
What we like to do at SUB2R is break all the rules. And it now becomes a dynamic element in whatever video you're trying to produce.
Richard, when we talk about the I don't want to say the focal length, but the distance, like for myself in this situation, I would need a huge green background. But with SUB2R, I could put it right behind me. And with the dimensions, how wide is it?
It's a standard 5x7.
That would be perfect, because you can't put something like that in the traditional sense, because again, you run into all those problems with the bleed, the lighting, everything.
Well, and the fun thing about this is it doesn't care what direction it goes. So if you need a narrow wide, you just turn it sideways.
Oh, wow.
And it comes with little cloth loops on it. And we hang them on the wall with those 3M picture hanger stickies, And so you could stick it on the wall. There's no mess on the floor. You can put it in any orientation you want. You can twist it. We really did set up a young streamer in LA in her bedroom closet with it. That's how much room she had.
Amazing. But it worked. See,
it works.
It's like if you ever watch a movie with a bad CG, right away, your belief is thrown off. And that's not good. If you're watching something and you're doing a presentation with your live streamer and you've got a great background, and you can't tell that maybe it's generated, again, you don't lose that viewer, that person who's watching this with that disbelief.
Right. And a lot of people that have been buying them recently are professionals. Mm-hmm. And they may be a well-known doctor, or they may be a well-known spokesperson, but they're not a lighting technician. They're not a camera expert, nor should they be. They're good at what they do. but you know, they don't need to be experts in studio lighting and experts in special effects, and that takes lifetimes sometimes to master. And you can't master 27 talents. Well, some people can, but I can't master 27 talents.
Yes.
You know, and so what this does, it takes a large portion of the hassles away from setting up a green screen type of environment. And a lot of people, they want to use it for, you know, perhaps showing something about their company or an active, you know, whiteboard or whatever it is that they're doing to help demonstrate the message that they're trying to convey. And what we do is we try to make that easier for you with technology. And one of the things that we differentiate ourselves with is SUB2R is a hardware technology company.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that make software, but we are hardware people.
Right. And thus you've developed the Studio 460, which is taking pre-orders now.
Yes.
That is the camera that you showed us earlier. How is that going to be traditionally different than maybe, you know, a desktop webcam that some people may be using?
So a lot of people that are in, again, going back to our Twitch streamers and content creators, there is the webcam.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you want to level up, you want to elevate the quality of your broadcast, most people will move to a DSLR,
yeah,
or a mirrorless solution. The problem with those is that they're not, the camera itself is not designed for continuous streaming. Those cameras are designed to maybe capture some video, but mostly take really good still shots.
Yeah.
And they're not interactive in a way that makes it easy. You have to have battery packs, they overheat, they shut down. They're difficult to set up. And, you know, the argument that, oh, well, you know, I can also take it with me wherever I go. Trust me, anybody who sets one up in a broadcast situation, they've gone through so much trouble. They will not move it. They will not touch it.
We did it at CES one year. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've taken a Sony IMX294, which is a micro four thirds sensor, and we built it into our camera so that we support, first of all the powered micro four thirds lenses.
Wow.
So this gives you, the photographer, an incredible collection of glass that's available to you that's very affordable.
Yeah.
And then we use what's called an FPGA, which is a very powerful processor. And we dump the video out in 4K 60 at 12-bit. And for the studio, for the Square One, excuse me, there's a dedicated HDMI output. And all the outputs are 4K 60. In the Studio 460 we have a dual SDI output with a Genlock in.
Oh man.
So it really is studio ready.
Yeah.
And all of the controls on the camera are through the host. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to touch the camera. You can basically from your computer control every aspect about the camera you want. And then one of the things we added early on the back, you'll see this little square box here.
Right.
This is called an SFP module.
Oh, wow.
And these little modules are amazing because what they allow you to do is convert the video signal in the camera to any other video format you want on the outside, like optical,
right,
like IP. And you don't pay for that in the camera. You just buy a module if you need it, slip it in the back, and off you go and running. We have this bank of connectors here, which are basically, we give you auxiliary power out so you can connect different things to the camera. We also have what's called I2C, which is a language that the components, electronic components, talk to each other. So the camera can then talk to things like your lights, a gimbal, you know, anything else, the green screen, anything else in the room, you can control via this plug in the back.
Amazing.
We've built it with rack mounts on the side, rack mounts on the bottom. There's mounting quarter 20 mounts on the top, quarter 20 mounts on the bottom.
Wow.
The camera itself is passively cooled, so that under normal circumstances, it's completely silent. But in the case where the passive cooling will not keep the camera under temperature, then there's a small active fan on the inside.
Right.
And to give you an idea how crazy we are, we work with a guy who makes those stunt biplanes. I think you've seen them in like the Red Bull commercials.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He builds them from scratch. I mean, he'll take a block of aluminum and make this engine that's the size of a microwave oven that produces 700 horsepower. You know, I mean, it's nuts. So we were talking to JD and we said, look, how do we make this thing, the fan, quieter, you know, less vibration, less noise? So the vent on the fan is an airfoil.
Oh, wow.
Designed with the same program he uses to design propellers.
Right.
And it reduces the drag on the fan by 30%, which means my fan runs 30% slower, 30% less vibration.
Yes.
That's the attention to detail we put into everything we make.
And we should see these before the end of the year, or
hopefully next quarter we launch them. We've got a limited production ready to go. We're just going through some last minute work on them before I feel that they're up to par to release out into the world.
Amazing stuff. Now, I want our listeners to definitely take a look at the website for SUB2R. You might see the videos in social, which was great because, again, it totally caught my attention, especially with the fact that with the green screen technology, with the AGS, the hair is one of the things that can give it away sometimes. You know, and if you've got if you're Yul Brynner, you're great. But even then, you get the shadow if it's a bad green screen. But in this case, you're going to be able to see through that hair, which gives it even more realism.
Yeah, you and I both share that silver, those silver accents, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of the stuff that we do that we have fun with, where we've done we did a video with just the green screen and me illuminated with a candle.
Oh, amazing.
And then there's a gentleman we work with, Stephen Washer. He helps people develop their video presentation skills. And he's also a very silver-haired gentleman. And his thing was all, you know, maintaining the details of the hair follicles and
yeah,
which is, as you said, is a real challenge. And so we worked with him, and we've got a great video on how well we were able to maintain that he couldn't get any other way. So
what's the address for the YouTube video? What's the channel name?
Just SUB2R.
SUB2R. Cool.
Yeah, really easy.
You'll be able to catch that all there. And again, if they want to buy the products, what is the website?
SUB2R.com.
There you go. You made it easy, Richard.
Yes.
You've worked 12 years to make this product, you know, get it to where it's at with all the products. And do you think this is just the beginning? Are you looking at the technology now? Because I know you also do mounts, but
yes, we also do mounts. We make a really cool mount that it just sits on the back of your monitor,
right,
and allows you to put all of your gear off of this one mount that just sits on your monitor. So we hang these little Prismo lights, we hang the camera, and the nice thing is it brings the camera down to the point where the lens is as close to eye level to you as possible.
Right.
Normally when you get to a DSLR, then you have to have a tripod or something like that, and the view is always down on somebody's head. So we did this so that it gets as close to eye level as possible, because you want to make eye contact with your audience.
Oh yeah.
You know, and keep that as, I mean, you've got a great straight shot, so obviously, you know, your camera's voice is pointing directly at you. So
yeah.
but again, it's these little things. And it was funny because, again, this is a bit of technology. You think, how hard is it to make a little mount that doesn't clamp, but mounts to the top of your monitor? I have cases of skeletons of prototypes. And we finally went back in time to the turn of the last century and studied what a man named Hirth did for making giant power couplings. And he invented this thing called a Hirth coupling, which is basically a serrated coupling that locks together. And it doesn't take much force to hold the two sides together and allows it, keeps them locked together when they rotate. So one of the problems we had is when you put a lot of weight on something, how do you keep that locked in place and keep it from moving? And we finally came up with that, and it was like, wow, that's such a great idea. And so we lock ours together with a Hirth coupling, and it just takes a little bit of pressure, and then the mount is perfectly locked in its position. So
As somebody that I will call you an inventor, an engineer, inventor. Do you look at things sometimes and say that could be made better? Is that one of your occupational hazards of that?
It's unfortunately, yeah, we look at things, and as Serge likes to say, our ignorance is our greatest strength. We look at something like a camera, we look at that and say, well, how hard can it be to build a camera that does everything we want it to do?
Yeah.
Then we start down the path of doing it. We realize it's pretty tough. But that's why if you look around, I think we are the only company, the only small hardware company that makes a camera from the ground up.
Yeah.
A lot of people take a module and plug it into a box and say, I've made a camera.
Yeah.
We start from the chips and the printed circuit board and all the components, and we build it from scratch. We build it from the ground up. And that means we know every piece of this intimately. And there are over, on the camera, there's over 1,000 electronic components. And
wow,
we have a multitude of high-speed lanes inside that all have to be done perfectly. It's not something that's easy to do. You look at companies like, I won't name names, but the big cell phone companies, they have 800 engineers just working directly for them to develop a camera. We have 4 people in the company.
Amazing. Well, listen, continued success, Richard.
Thank you.
We're going to keep looking at the products as they are coming out. Definitely, if you are a content creator or even somebody you want to start doing some videos, having your logo behind you. It doesn't have to be extreme. Doesn't have to be butterflies and explosions. It can be a logo. It could be branding, which could be very important. Even in a Zoom call, definitely take a look at the AGS green screen, SUB2R.com. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming on Tech Talk Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Take care.